let them talk if they want to. Talk don't bother me. I want the whole world.
And welcome to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo. Joan Musi isn't with us. She wishes us all a happy Thanksgiving, and she'll be back in a couple weeks, and we will be back to our full strength. In the meantime, I'm here on Let Them Talk with our guest, Sunsara Taylor. Welcome, Sunsara, to the show.
Hi, thanks so much.
Sunsara is a writer for Revolution newspaper, and she'll explain exactly what that is. And she's been on a speaking tour promoting a book that an associate or a friend of hers has written called Away with All Gods. And that's a pretty controversial name, and it's a pretty controversial book. And that's why I had you on, because I wanted to have a controversial guest on. Especially in this era, at this time of the year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, you know, this is the God part of the year, you know, and everybody is talking about these things, and it's so important to so many people. Although I did hear that our president-elect has been skipping church.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yes, I read that he's been skipping church.
He may be
He's the
skipping
first
church, but
president.
he's definitely uttering his God bless Americas and all his other key lines.
Great! You're getting to be controversial right away.
There you go.
Okay, tell us a little bit about what you do and yourself, and explain that for our audience.
Well, I've been, as you said, I've been on a tour recently promoting the book Away with All Gods, Unchaining the Mind and Radically Changing the World. And it's written by Bob Avakian, who's the chairman of the Revolutionary Communist Party, and it's actually struggling with people to confront the fact that gods don't exist, but the illusion of gods and the role of religion has been extremely harmful throughout history and in the present today. And he gets into quite deeply, and I've been going and speaking to a wide variety of audiences, mainly on college campuses, challenging the premises and the narrative of the Christian Bible in particular. It's very relevant to the holiday season.
Absolutely. Well, by the way, we're here live. And as you can see on the screen, we have a number, 212-757-1538, and we'll take your calls. We'll get a call right away. We'll give it a try. All right. We'll open up the phones. Hi, you're on. Go ahead. Okay, I guess not. I don't know what's happening, but we'll keep on going. Well, we're still open for calls.
That was a message from God.
It could have been.
He does not exist.
Well, how can you be sure he doesn't exist? So many people, millions of people. I would dare say the majority of people in the world, it seems, have a deep belief in the spiritual being. How is it possible to build a political party or an organization that wants to lead millions of people and at the same time reject such a deeply held ancient belief?
Well, I think precisely there, deeply held ancient belief. Religion and belief in God was born in the periods of human ignorance. Early societies, people didn't have the tools of science, didn't know how to explain why things happened in the real world, and so they made up myths, and this made sense, and their myths at different times and different eras reflected the worlds in which they lived. If you read the Bible, it's filled with stories of butchering your neighbor's tribes, taking their cattle, taking their women, taking them as slaves, because they lived in an agrarian, slave-owning society, where they stoned women to death and disobedient children. So those are the narratives written into the Christian Bible. You look at the Quran, there are narratives that reflect the society and the myths of those times in which they were written. And every era reinterprets their myths. One of the revealing things today, you have something like the Ten Commandments that the Christian fascists like Judge Roy Moore want to post in the courtrooms, and they edit their own commandments.
Oh, the Ten Commandments, you're saying.
Ten Commandments.
Right, and the judge down in Alabama, he wanted to put it in the courtroom itself, or he did have it in the courtroom.
Yeah, he's the one who had those huge 2-ton brick slabs or rock slabs with the Ten Commandments chiseled on them.
Sure.
And he left off when he wrote the 10th Commandment. He said, "Thou shalt not covet." But really, in the Bible, it says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's slave, wife, oxen, all these other possessions."
Oh, slave was involved.
Slaves, yeah, because it was written by slave owners. And so it gets reinterpreted in this era. People don't own slaves, so even the Christian fundamentalists reinterpret their own Bible. So people make up myths and they reinterpret myths, but there's never been any evidence of the existence of God. There's been plenty of evidence that shows that different societies make up different gods to serve the different purposes.
Now, it's my understanding, just from watching television the other night, there's not much more than shreds of evidence that even the historical events that are depicted in the Bible actually happened.
Well, some of them probably happened and some of them probably didn't. I mean, certainly there was no flood that covered the whole earth. Geology and everything we've learned since then shows there's no sign of a flood that has ever covered the whole earth. Were there plagues, were there famines sometimes, or deaths that happened that people couldn't understand, and then they made up plague from God? There probably were some earthly events that got reflected in the Bible.
Now I'm going to give you an opportunity for folks who might be interested in this book and learning more. What's your website? And we're going to introduce that a couple of times for folks.
It's awaywithallgods.com, and it's very simple. It's the title of the book, awaywithallgods.com.
Great, great. Now, Sunsara Taylor, let me ask you this. What's so wrong with religion in the sense of it seems to give so much comfort to people, especially in old age and sickness? There's been studies that have shown that prayer, for example, actually might extend life for some people. There seems to be a spiritual side of life that helps people so much. I mean, I'm not saying I'm in favor of that. I'm just saying that, you know, I've worked with different folks who've expressed these kind of things. Well, what do you say about that?
I think the first thing to say is that there are millions and millions, literally billions of people on this planet whose lives are made miserable by the working of imperialism and capitalism, globalization, mass hunger, mass exploitation, children who make the clothes many of us wear. And there's a lot of people who precisely their lives are made miserable in this country as well, and they've been denied any access to science and in real education. So do a lot of people cling to religion and seek solace in it, whose lives are very miserable and they don't have much else? Yes. But then this is what's unique about this book, and Bob Avakian, the author of it, is he's a revolutionary and answers the question that the masses do not need consolation, they need emancipation. And to emancipate themselves, which is what communist revolution is about, is to, you know, millions of the most oppressed and exploited themselves being conscious agents of revolution and forging a new society and emancipating all of humanity. They need to understand the real world. You can't do that just on a committed belief. If it was that easy, we would have had a revolution in the 60s. You need science, you need strategy, you need as many people thinking scientifically as possible. It doesn't mean everybody in a revolutionary movement will break with belief in God. But you need more and more people letting go of make-believe, and that's what God is. And to prayer extending life, look, there are some calming effects of people, you know, that have been associated with meditation or other forms of prayer to a degree, but you can do breathing exercises. You can do many things that are demystified, but the reality is there are millions of people, including in this country. Every Sunday you turn on the TV and you hear T.D. Jakes or Creflo Dollar talking about, don't let Joel Osteen, don't let the word cancer cross your lips. Because if you utter it, then you are conceding that you're not having faith in God to heal you. If the doctor tells you you have cancer, you can see these people. There's many people who believe that prayer is going to stop a physical ailment, and they are dead wrong. And often people's lives are shortened because of this. That's actually been if you pull back the lens on the history of religion, it's caused more bloodshed and more butchering and more wars and more loss of life, including in illness, including people who are ill, and then a concept that's entrenched in the Bible, including in Jesus himself, that illness is caused by sinfulness.
Sunsara, let's talk about how religion is played out, because I think probably one of the most, if not the most overtly religious president that we ever had is the president we have right now, George Bush. And in fact, New York City was the victim of a terrorist attack, as we all know, in 2001, and that was done pretty much in the name of religion as well. And currently, there are wars the war on terror spanning the world, which is, to me anyway, seems to be just a cover for a series of religious wars. They're imperialist wars, but the ideology that's fighting them is one religion against another. Or at least it seems to me that way in a lot of ways. How do you think religion has affected the political system that we're in right now in the United States?
Well, this is obviously a very big topic, and it's dealt with, it's treated quite thoroughly in the book, Away with All God.
And in terms of the book, you know, that's fine.
There's a couple of chapters that deal with the rise of Islamic fundamentalism in the world, and that you have to understand it rooted, like you were referencing, in the context of a world system of imperialism. Religion is the ideology a lot of people are mobilized to fight behind, but the forces at work that have shaped that are